And we are ready.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome to tonight's Board of Health meeting, Town of Mendon, October 8th, 2025. Just a reminder, we are being recorded. Roll call, please.
John Pickner here.
Joyce Gilmore here.
Colleen Straponi here.
Jack McClellan here.
Alan Greenberg here. Good. Good and welfare for the public. Do we have anyone at home?
Nobody's online with us tonight.
Do we have anyone in the audience that would like to offer anything for this category?
What was the category?
Good and welfare for the public?
No.
Okay. We'll move on to new business. Mendon Old Landfill 2025 third party inspection report, please.
All right, Mr. Chairman, as you know, the Mendon Old Landfill is required to have a third-party inspection every 2 years. In 2025, this is the year that we have to have a third-party inspection required by DEP. In 2023, if you remember, the third-party inspection cited a sinkhole that was observed adjacent to the catch basin located off the driveway by the turnaround of the residential property. It should be filled in to prevent trip hazards. And also in that third-party inspection report of 2023, depressions were also observed within each of the landfill units. Since that third-party inspection report, repairs of the sinkhole was complete in March 13th, 2025, and repairs of the depressions are complete as of April 30th, 2025. So before the board tonight is the 2025 third-party inspection with no deviations with DEP. So I will need the board's approval and your signature to send into the DEP.
Joyce, any comments on that?
No, having
Been there from the beginning.
read
Read the report, very positive. Taken care of, so in good shape there.
So we'll make a motion to accept the report.
I'll make a motion to accept the Atlas TPI report.
second,
Favor?
Tom, aye.
Joyce, I.
Alan, aye. Just the one?
Just the one.
Very good. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
So we have a little reprieve from that
Yeah, that's
project,
good, yes.
which is good. All right. Board of Health minutes for September 10, 2025. Review and approval. Wants to go first?
I went through them completely and didn't find anything that was out of character, but I'm sure Tom already had. So I'll start
What,
there.
just because I was an English major? No, I did review them. I had the opportunity to review them yesterday with Jack. I provided basically a couple of grammatical corrections. And so he did that. I don't know if did they have
They
it?
didn't have the first copy.
So,
But they do have it.
yeah, they were minor details. No, substance was great. I was fine with the content, so.
I think that's what I found. I found on page 2, second paragraph from the top. We have AS, and I'm sure it should have been asked. Chairman Greenberg, AS, Vice Chairman.
Yep, there you go.
Oh, good catch.
Yeah. I don't have eyes like you, Tom. I try. And then one other thing I found that didn't seem to flow right. First page, 24 Kinsley Lane, first paragraph. Buying the property, someone installed an overflow pipe in, but unaware of where it goes to. For some reason, that didn't seem to
Where it went
flow
to,
right.
went to.
Yeah, I don't know, something about that sentence, just after the word property, that second half of that sentence didn't seem to flow well. I don't know, Tom.
I'd probably say that the words "the ground" would be added there after the word "in."
In the ground.
The ground, and then I think it flows from that. What do you think?
So someone installed an overflow pipe in the ground, but unaware where it goes to.
Right. That make sense?
Where it flows to, maybe? Because it just kind of emptied.
Is that ending a sentence on a preposition?
Yes, it is.
Okay, like I said, something about that sentence.
No, you're right.
Didn't
It's,
didn't sit
no,
right.
you're absolutely true. Yeah.
Um,
I'll
other
let
than-
Bagel with it.
You could say from where it went.
I'll finagle it.
Yeah,
Yeah, from where it
Bagel
went.
to bagel.
Yeah, we'll finagle bagel.
there you go. All right, I didn't see anything else. And Tom, you already.
Yeah, they were just some minor. That was great farm content.
All right, so if we're ready to accept them, we'll have a motion, please.
I move we accept the minutes as read.
I'll second motion to accept the minutes with the adjustments so noted.
All in favor?
So am I.
Both side.
Al and I. Good. Moving on to old business, 5 Harrington Street, noise nuisance update, please.
Since our last meeting, I've spoken with the DEP again, the property owner and the business owner. And we have come to an agreement to install the backup noise alarms. He's gonna start with the first truck. On November 3rd, he has to put it into the shop and have it installed. The class will start on November 10th, and I'll be monitoring that truck for the decibel readings. And also the DEP will probably come down and assist me with that. And if we're satisfactory with the results of it, then he will install them in the other trucks that he has that he uses for school. But he has agreed to install that backup alarm. So that's the good news. He's already started the classes for October, so we can't take the truck off and put it into the garage for a week. So he asked for the 30 days and I agreed to that. So that's where we are with it right now. Very hopeful, like I said, as right from the very beginning of speaking with the property owner and the business owner. And we will monitor the decibel reading, so you'll probably see me in the backyard again. And I'll probably go down there a few times a week just to get a benchmark for the readings. And my contact at DEP, Michelle Delmar, will probably be accompanying me as well. So that's what I have to report for right now.
Okay, any board members have any questions before I ask mine?
Well, just to clarify, did you say install backup noise alarms or did you mean white noise?
White noise alarms.
Okay,
Yeah,
That's what I want.
white noise alarms.
so the alarms that she's talking about will be different. than
Right, the
alarms
white,
that are on the
I'm
trucks.
sorry, white noise alarms, so that, and I've spoken with a couple of other trucking companies. And they have had similar issues with where they're, in a mixed use zone. And they have been very satisfied with the results of installing these white noise alarms. They said that the neighborhood itself also was pleased with the performance of the alarms. So I'm hopeful. And if not, then, there's other remedies that we can pursue. And again, the property owner is open to those remedies as well.
Now, not being personally familiar with white noise alarms, can you provide an explanation of the difference between a white noise alarm and the alarms that they currently use?
Well, the alarms that they currently use are rated by OSHA. So they're at a certain decibel. The white noise alarms, they interfere with the neighborhood being impacted by that consistent noise. And it doesn't reduce it in the yard where the activity is occurring, but ambient out into the neighborhood, that's what they use them for.
So it's supposed to reduce the decibel level beyond, I guess, an immediate range or immediate area of usage as it travels out.
Correct.
Do we know out of curiosity what that dB reduction actually is?
I could research it and get you an answer.
I'm just curious, based on what they're experiencing now, what they might experience with this new type of alarm setup. That's,
I didn't, go into depth as far as, the distance for them, but in speaking with Michelle Delmar and another engineer at the DEP, and also these two companies that I spoke with that installed them. I asked them approximately how close they were to the residential neighborhood, and it seems to me that they're much closer than, I would say, to your 238 feet, I think it is, to your home. But absolutely, the distance, I don't know. I can get back to you and I can find out.
I was just curious what that would mean to the residents, you know, and experiencing a dB drop. Because I know when doing certain research and looking at the different levels of dB noise, what it means to the hearing and what it means to the loss of certain attributes. And I know as Dr. Lucas had pointed out on the medical side of things, especially with the consistency of the noise and the constancy of the noise. And this is really the heart of the issue, is the constant noise that seems to happen. And I believe that we've kind of validated that point. Is that correct with the testing that we've done? Have we validated that what we're hearing has been happening?
Well, I went to the edge of the property line and recorded the decibel reading at 64.
Yeah. And which is tremendously, I think, on the higher side of what the human ear would want to hear on a constant basis, right?
Right. Anywhere, not even once, they don't want to hear it.
Yeah, good.
What are your house numbers?
I'm sorry, if you guys speak up the table, I need your name and address.
Cindy Van Slet, 32 Crestview Drive.
Jeff Lucas, 33 Crest.
Thank you.
I was trying to figure out, because I was driving around there and I was trying to figure out who was who and scheme things. Because
Their property abuts to the
I care,
property.
you know, and I was just like, okay, I want to know exactly. And
You're
so,
welcome to come visit and come out back and sit on our deck and,
I hear the noise.
yeah.
Hopefully,
But what I wanted to bring up is it's not just the backup. It's because they're constantly moving, the engine revving, they turn corners. So you hear that constantly as well, not just the backup. And there's several trucks going at different times. So you could have beeping here, revving there, horns, all of it. And I think it's wonderful that they're willing to work with us. And it sounds like we're already taking a step in the right direction, but I just wanted it to be clear that it wasn't just that one noise that was constant.
I believe this was one of the suggestions that Tom Belling had.
Yes, and he couldn't be here tonight.
Yeah.
Yes,
So we're definitely moving in the right direction because he's part of your group and he
Yes.
has some expertise in that.
yes,
But as Colleen mentioned, they're gonna install it, they're gonna evaluate it, and then they're gonna see what needs to be done with the other trucks, if that is an improvement.
right.
And then she mentioned that the property owner
Mhm.
wants to be a good neighbor. So I would say, again, like 2 weeks ago, we're moving in the positive direction. I wish it could move faster. Obvious, you guys, and
I've put it up for a long time.
but with progress in anything that the board does, it's always a good thing.
I'm gonna go back out, so you'll probably see me on your property. I have the hours of the school, and I'm going to take some more readings as far as the revving goes, because the sound wall may be something that we also have to address with the property owner as far as the installation of it goes.
I did have a question. You mentioned that it was 64 decibels from my yard, and then when you went up to them, was that after they had already changed their location of backing up?
Yes,
So the 64 was with them
backing
Backing
up
up.
away from you guys, away from the neighborhood.
Okay. The other thing that you mentioned, last meeting was that they had some opportunities for classroom time as well as, driving time.
Yep,
And that they were going to stop at noon on Saturday
they were working towards it. I did.
towards it. Okay.
Yep.
Because I was gonna say, oh, it hasn't. So I just wasn't sure.
Yeah, I asked him when I spoke to Alec, is his name,
Yes, ma'am.
was it yesterday?
Yes.
Okay. And I asked him how he was, making out with not starting before 8 AM and the Saturday thing. He said that he has not started before 8 AM since, we had last spoke. And that he was working towards complying with, trying to stop the classes by noontime or 1 o'clock on a Saturday. So that's, and I thanked him for, making the effort, and it's one, it was wonderful to hear. But the proof will be in the pudding.
Can I ask, since the Board of Health here has been involved with the issue, have you noticed any kind of improvement at all in what you've been experiencing at all in the last 4 weeks?
No, actually, honestly, I feel like, not within the last 4 weeks. No, there's
Something?
nope. Nope,
Have you noticed if they've started before 8 AM?
I have not. I have not.
What time are they shutting down?
4.
They've been pretty good about that because, when I'm outside with my granddaughter, I try to make sure that we don't go out until after 4. Which is a pain, but, so no, they've been good about stopping.
Because he told me
Four.
when I spoke to him that they were hard stop at 4.
Yeah.
He
Yep.
did tell me that. When I spoke to him yesterday, and I also sent him a
Yeah,
confirmatory.
it's funny though, my granddaughter asked me, Grammy, why are there trucks in the woods? And I was like, I'm like, there's a road, and it was, innocent. But, so, I mean, she's aware, she hears it, she sees it, she likes to eat her snack outside.
So just to echo the chairman's point about the flow of everything, I think it's great, the positivity that we've been hearing from, property owner and the business owner, and that's wonderful, and I'm all for forward progress, right? But I don't want it to be lost upon this board, especially the residents here, how long this has been going on. Now, I know that we've only been dealing with this in the last month, but they've been dealing with the problem for months. Okay. And I do respect the fact that the business has the right to exist. But in my view, no neighbor has any right to negatively impact another neighbor, whether they're a business or just a resident. So, and I think the number one priority of the Board of Health is to look out for the public health and welfare of the residents in the business. And I just don't want it lost upon the board. And I speak to the residents here that this needs to continue to be a high priority, that this issue be resolved.
Appreciate it.
I agree. That's why I was out there tooling around.
Well, and it is going to be on our agenda every 2 weeks. Regardless, Tom had already requested that it stay on the agenda. I wish it was something that you could correct
Right.
quickly.
Taste. Yeah.
To be quite honest, and I'll make a statement here, and I don't know that I'm overstepping, and I don't want to overstep here because I want to allow the processes to work correctly. But if I admire the patience that you people have expended on this, to be quite honest with you, but I am not above, to be quite honest, a cease and desist order be implemented on that business to stop what they're doing until the problem is resolved. That's my personal view. Now, whether that is an actionable thing that we can do, but I'm saying that's how I'm viewing this.
Who permitted the business to exist? Like one of the other boards, right?
Then, but
Okay, so they permitted the business. And the business has been there for how long?
2 years at least.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember when I noticed it.
Move driving as a
Yeah.
business. I think they only came in like last fall, about a year ago.
Yeah, I thought it was a
3
year,
years.
about a year.
Yeah.
But they've been like
It was
ramping
Amazon,
up.
before that was Amazon. And
Right.
Move Driving came in, but I think they've only been around for about a year, no more than a year and a half.
Okay.
I understand. But, irrespective, again, why the Board of Health exists, this is a major reason why, to address negative impacts in a community. And if this has been validated as a negative impact, which it sounds like it has been, then it needs to stop. And if they can't stop it, then we should stop it until they can fix it. I respect their right to exist for what they do, but they don't get to negatively impact somebody else's existence. No one does. That's my view.
Do you want to look into a cease and desist? I mean,
Well, I would ask, what kind of ground are we on?
we'd have to do more research. We'd have to have had the numbers, spend time out there with the noise meter, calculate and record the various decibels. And then I think that you'd have to consult with town council.
And again, planning board pushed this through without a site plan review of other departments.
yeah, and
And this could have been
Taking
avoided,
care of that right then.
possibly could have been avoided. I would say it could have been 100%. But if a site plan review of this business could have been had by all departments,
questions could have been asked.
questions could have been asked.
Yeah, potentially, and that's unfortunate. And I'd like to think maybe that process would change, because you never know what, it gives an opportunity for every board to potentially look at or provide commentary on something that's coming through the town, because every department looks at something a little
In a
differently.
different way. Well, they're not looking at health and well-being.
Right.
They're looking at, is it going to be blah,
Right.
blah, blah.
I mean, we look at groundwater.
Correct.
For example, a planning board may not have that in their front view for consideration. I think that's why they do try to go out. I just think it's unfortunate in this case that there was no opportunity. That's all.
Again, that business on Cape Road that took place had a planning review, which brought up questionable tractor trailers and noise and stuff like that. So those were prohibited.
What I'll say on the issue of planning board granting the permit. The only thing that I can think of at the top of my head is that there were tractor trailers being there previous.
Mhm.
So I would consider this similar. So maybe that's why it just went as far as it went. The other thing that I'll say, Tom, and I always appreciate your passion, especially when it comes to trying to give members of the community some relief of some kind. And that's obviously what we're trying to do, is to give you some relief. Is that if you push too hard sometimes, I would hate to see someone dig their heels in, and now it could become a legal battle. And we all know that legal battles go really slow. So,
Well, my answer to that is to fight the fights that are worth fighting. And in my position, this is a fight worth fighting.
and my position with respect to yours would be that I feel we've made some progress, even though you're still obviously very distraught about this. And we have a communication going both ways. We're not hearing, no, I'm not going to do that. or see my attorney. So I feel, and, you know, I'll ask Colleen, because she's
Doing all
the
the work.
boots on the ground here.
Mm.
We're making progress, even though it's slow, and I think we need to give it a little more time. And I say that reluctantly because you have been dealing with this for longer than the Board of Health has been involved. Do you feel that's reasonable? I mean, I know fall is here, the leaves are coming off the trees, you can see more, you can hear more. You're the ones that are feeling the effects of this. How do you feel?
I hate the thought. My grandchildren come over and it can be labeled as harmful. That is not a word that should be used when visiting your grandparents. That said, winter is coming. Leaves are gonna fall. Do I want this to end today? Absolutely. Am I willing to hope that they are willing to put the money into it and have it be so that we can both be happy? I feel like I've moved. Like somebody picked up my house and moved it into the middle of a city. I didn't move. I have invested in my house. I have invested in this town. I worked at the high school. I have volunteered at the senior center. I did solarize Mendon. I would like to have my house back, to have my life back, to be able to go outside. My contractor says to me, "How can you stand it?" And it's like embarrassing because I didn't do. It's been done to me, to us, to all of us. Yes, I want it to be livable. I won't say end because I agree. If they can do their thing and I can do my thing, whatever. But they haven't been able to.
I know that the property owner or the business owner viewed the meeting.
Mhm.
Do you think that asking them to come in and to
Sure, I mean, you know, I'm always.
see
open
firsthand
to
how
communication.
distraught?
They watched the first meeting, they didn't, and I had told you that they are aware of the disruption in your personal life. And they did, and I believe they were sincere, expressed concern about that. I also advised them to watch tonight's meeting. I am more than happy to discuss it and reach out to them and also to Michelle Delma to see if there's anything that we can do to accelerate it. The white noise alarms, it was something I agreed to that time frame. As far as, you know, a sound wall or anything like that, we would have to start I believe anyway, to start to record the decibel readings in order to make a case for the property owner to, to move forward with that, which I'm happy to do. I'm happy to do whatever it takes to help you feel better about living in your property. I mean that from the bottom of my hat. There is a process, and we all acknowledge that process, and I'll continue to follow that as well. But if I can accelerate anything, I will absolutely do that. 100%.
I think it's great that, like you said, we're all moving in the same direction. As much as I would love for it to end, I'm hoping there's a way that we can all be happy.
I believe so.
Yeah.
I truly do, because I honestly don't believe that it's the business owner or the property owner's intent to disrupt your quiet enjoyment of your property. I truly don't believe that. And like I said, there's a process in the course of the conversations. They've been very receptive to them. Let's see if, I have a conversation with them about accelerating some things and see, what type of response I get from that, and absolutely ask them if they want to come to a meeting as well, to keep the line of communication open.
Well, again, I feel as though I'm grateful for everything that has happened so far. And I certainly don't want anyone to put up a wall and become resistant on any parties. But Tom and I had a slight side conversation about, do we meet every week? Because, this is obviously something that needs to be taken care of. But when I listen to the time frame in order to get the class over, get the truck off the road, get the white noise alarm installed, test the alarm to see if there's an improvement. And then if there is an improvement, getting the other trucks done, if another cycle starts, this is gonna take a while.
The only thing I would say to that, Mr. Chairman, in our discussion is that meeting even once a week, meeting is fine. The issue here is action to take on a day-to-day basis toward resolving the problem. We could meet every week. I don't know that meeting every week would be an answer, but it's the action in between the meetings. And again, I'll just go back to if we feel as a board that this issue has been validated, and this is what I would describe an impairment to the public health and well-being, and I believe that this board has every right to act in support of the community to implement a cease and desist order until it's resolved. We're not acting, I'm going to throw out a term here I've used before. I do not believe we'd be acting arbitrarily or capriciously in so making this decision. That's why I'm looking to get, and what I'm hearing is validation of the problem, that this is a problem that exists and can be validated up to this point. Based on that, Mr. Business Owner, you can no longer do this until you fix the problem, period. And I know that it's not their intent to do what they're doing to impair the residents, but they're continuing to do it even after being aware. I watched in the meeting how much they impair the residents. They're still running their business. And if they really cared that much, they wouldn't be. They'd be doing something more proactively.
But as mentioned, the backup alarm is only one component.
It's one component. I think it's the major component.
But there's still going to be other noises that are a nuisance to deal with.
I think all the more reason then to, again, in my view, implement a cease and desist until they can fix the problem.
So is it your view that we need to consult legal and pursue that?
I believe, in my view, understanding the authority vested in the Board of Health, the local Board of Health in the state of Massachusetts, based on the information we have at hand, we have every right to implement a cease and desist without consultation of legal, because I have no issues with implementing such an order. I'll fight that fight. But if you wanted to consult legal, great. Question is, how long would that take? We know that these things can take time.
When's the next select board meeting?
Next Wednesday.
You want to go before the select board meeting and express this to the selectmen and to the town administrator first?
We can express it to them, but we are, the Board of Health in the town of Mendon we operate on our own. We are the authority. We don't report to the select board. We're not overseen by the select board or the town administrator. We are given the authority to the Commonwealth of Massachusetts to take action. And that's what I'm saying is it's within our authority to do this step.
I understand that when you read through the rules, the law. However, we are part of the town. And I certainly wouldn't want to blindside anyone in town. So I feel as though if we were going to pursue that, they definitely need to be aware of the intent. And because if it's not done correctly, everyone's going to feel the effects.
I don't know that when you say everyone, my concern is for the residents and the occupants of the town of Mendon. That's what this department, this major responsibility is for. For people that are sitting here before us and others, that's our responsibility. It's nice that we can communicate with the select board and the town administrator, but they're not in our governance. They're not in our responsibility. If we want to notify them of an action, if the board so decides to take the action, that's great. But we have the authority to take that action as we stand.
What do you want to do?
If you're asking me to put a motion on the floor,
If that's what you want to do.
What are you gonna base the cease and desist on? What regulation, what mass general law?
well, we're going to the validation part of it. So I guess what I'm hearing or been hearing is that there is an issue here. That is an impairment. It's a validated noise nuisance to a resident or many residents in the town of Mendon. So from that end, my view is that nuisance needs to cease, needs to stop.
There may not be a provision under that regulation for a cease and desist. Through you, if I can make a suggestion.
Yeah.
That you have, before you issue any type of cease and desist, because you will close the door on any type of
Redoing.
forward progress, that you have the business come in to the board's next meeting and discuss it with them, just like we're discussing right now. The residents can come in and let them know that this is how serious you are. Maybe do our homework a little bit and sharpen the pencil and find out what's regulation you're gonna rely upon. Because if you're just gonna arbitrarily close down a business without having or know the proper authority or the regulation to do that, then we're gonna have a bigger problem.
Well, as I stated earlier, I don't believe we'd be making this arbitrarily or capriciously, because we're basing it on information, which seems to be valid, solid, existing information on a consistent basis, that there is an impairment to the public health and well-being that exists out here in the town of Mendon. That's what I'd be basing that on. And I think it's our duty to do what we can to stop that negative impact.
Joyce?
Well, I just want to say that I think Colleen is doing master work on.
Excellent. Totally.
Yeah, I just want to finish what I'm saying. That she's got them agreeing to do certain things, and she's looked up all the stuff, and maybe if, without doing that, I mean, I know what you're speaking of, and I understand it, but since she's so far ahead and they have already done things that we've asked them to do. Okay, you know what I'm saying? And so if she can work with them together, as she's been doing, I would say, let's give her some time.
Well, the other side of that is what I'm hearing is it's made absolutely no difference. Yes, they've taken steps. Yes, they've apparently stopped before 8. They're ending at 4. But they're making a commitment to do something on Saturdays. It doesn't sound like they've been able to do it yet, but they made a commitment, verbal commitment to try to do something. But the problem still exists.
Well, they committed to doing the white noise.
Yes, and unfortunate that is another month away.
And did they turn around the trucks too, you said?
Yep, they already did that, but the thing is that so far they've agreed. All right, it's not gonna, the noise is not gonna cease overnight, and just stopping, not starting before 8 AM and, after 4 PM is not gonna decrease the noise. That wasn't the intention of that. That's not gonna decrease the noise.
Correct. That's why, but a cease and desist order will stop it and stop it good until the problem is figured out. That's why I say I'd be in favor of that action.
I know I'm repeating myself, but my fear is that they will dig their heels in, and maybe rightfully so. And we will get nowhere for even a longer period of time. Things that have happened in the town where we've ended up in lawsuits, and the whole community is paying the bill for that. I ask you to give us some time, and I hate to do that because I see how distressful this is for you. But my opinion as a member of the board is that we stay the course that we're on present at this time. I have no issues about, and I kind of suggested having the property owner and the business owner come to a meeting and see face to face the way we are what this is doing to you, in the hopes that maybe that would
Give them a wake up.
accelerate things without us having to go to a cease and desist.
I think that asking them to come to the next meeting would be a reasonable step before you consider a cease and desist, just to have a line of communication with them. They haven't come before the board, and I would think it's reasonable to have any business come before the board and have an open conversation prior to any type of, further legal action. I would encourage that, but that's the board's pleasure.
Well, you've done a fantastic job so far in, representing the department, representing the board, and trying to resolve the problem. I don't doubt that one iota. It's just that this is just such a constant problem that it just goes to what I believe is the number one responsibility of a board of health, and that is to look out for the residents' public health and well-being. And if there's something that exists, you need to take action. And the question is, what's reasonable action? And this seems to be such a constant issue, day after day after day after day, I'll say except Sunday. Maybe that's the one day, but we can wake up in the morning and I can go in my backyard and enjoy my cup of coffee and hear the birds chirp and not have a problem. These folks cannot do
Used to
that.
be able to.
But that's what we're working towards, though, and we've only had it for a month.
Yes, and I say that we've only had it per month. That's correct.
Right, and so that's why I think it's premature to issue a cease and desist. I'm compassionate. Please don't misunderstand me.
No, I love the fact that we're moving forward in the right direction without it's not gonna be at the speed I would like.
Right,
No question.
right, exactly.
But it's moving in the right direction, and the only saving grace I can say is winter's coming. I'm gonna have my wood stove on. The fan blows like heck. I can't even hear my TV unless I go sit in the other room. So when I'm inside, I won't hear it because of that. So I feel like I've got until spring. You know what I'm saying? To hopefully work through some of this. It's
We're not
on,
gonna tell them.
No.
sorry?
We're not gonna let them think they have till spring.
Well,
Being
It's already been.
True. true.
Honestly, you know, and that's the goal is to restore your peace and quiet and your enjoyment of your property. That's always been our
Yes,
goal.
and I
And it's a
appreciate that.
process to go through that. And the thing is what encourages me is that so far, my conversations
Yes.
with the business owner and the
Yes.
property owner have been positive. Now,
Yes.
if they weren't, that would be a house of a different color and we'd
Yes.
take a different action. So
Yes.
that's why I'm saying that to keep the lines of communication open, to request them to come to the next meeting and have this deep discussion with them in addition to the discussions I've already had. And in the meantime, I will also reach out to them and say, you know, and have them watch this meeting and see if we can accelerate things a little bit so that there's some larger steps. How about that? And then they can come to the board. And then after that, it would be the board's pleasure.
I think if they were to watch this meeting, they'll get the
nervous.
drift.
Yeah.
At least of where I'm coming from. And I like to think the drift of in general, how we're feeling about the problem, that maybe on their own, they get a sense of expedition to resolve the problem. Yes, it's nice if they want to come in, but I don't know what more. I think we'd be repeating ourselves. Because what you've already done in communication, you know, they're aware of everything that we've been talking about. So it's not, I guess we could have them come in. I just don't know what more we could impress upon them. So.
I did have a thought, Colleen.
Mhm.
Possibly they could look into renting a tractor, the truck part of the tractor trailer, so that they could use the rental while the other truck goes to have the white noise alarm put in it
Sooner. Perfect, yeah.
and switch them out that way. So that maybe that could accelerate those alarms. I mean, first we got to get the first one in and we got to test it, but that may allow them to continue doing what they're doing. But get that truck, rather than taking it out of service completely, they're bringing a substitute in. I don't know if that's an option. I don't know how those trucks are outfitted, but
Sure.
It's a possibility.
Yep,
worth it.
absolutely.
It's worth suggesting.
Right. I mean, it's just, for me, it's, you know, to continue the open dialogue or conversation. And so long as we see further, you know, forward progress. But I think that, you know, after this meeting, maybe the steps need to be larger.
I had one idea that popped in my head during discussion as far as collecting more data. You know, the loudness, certainly it's annoying. But what is even a bigger factor is the relentlessness of it. It is there constantly. And I defer to your expertise, Colleen, and the expertise of the DEP contact is, would it be helpful to get readings over an extended period of time? You know,
So that they hear
yeah,
it.
it's like an
They
hour.
hear
You
it
know,
all the time.
and I, you know, because it would, you know, it's very telling, you know, if it's really hard to quantify how it makes you feel emotionally.
Mhm.
But if someone were to spend, an hour or two in Cindy's backyard in our neighborhood, it would really get on your nerves. How do you quantify that? But there's,
Volunteer to sit out there for an hour or two.
Well, I was just thinking, I mean, cameras are everywhere now.
Right.
Do we have access to any type of audio visual equipment that could view the school from your backyard?
Well, I thought
And-
when the Amazon was there, I thought one of his big things was having cameras and stuff, so there may be.
Well, I'm
cameras
thinking of a
on there.
camera that could be set up for an 8-hour period.
Yeah.
Could record the audio and record the video at the same time, so
To
that
see
those
all
two
that.
pieces are together. And that would give you a broader view of what's going on from your backyard.
I can
I'm,
consult with, Michelle
Michelle did one.
at the DEP and ask her. I mean, she's, our, acoustic engineer.
Okay. And if you seem to get a reasonable result from doing it, let's say for one day, even if it was a 4-hour period, I don't know how long these things will record. Maybe do it multiple days
Mhm.
if the equipment was available and could be set up, so that you get more data points. I mean, it's almost impossible for someone to plant themselves there,
oh, yeah, I understand that.
But see, this is what happens with conversation, is as you're having conversation, things pop into your head. And you're gonna go home and something else might pop into your head. So feel free to send an email to Jack if something like that happens. And hopefully these positive conversations are going to get the results that are required. And we're gonna try to accelerate it.
Absolutely.
And I mean, I think that that we're very sympathetic to you. I live on the corner of Route 16 and Washington Street. So I know of what you speak. I have no control over that, however. But I know of what you speak.
How many years have you lived there, Joyce?
50.
So it's definitely not the way it was when she.
When I
First
was,
moved into the world.
was like it was beautiful. It was quiet and lovely. And now it's, you can't believe it. I mean, I don't want to go there, but I'm just saying, I understand perfectly of what you say. I can't do anything about that because that's Route 16.
Right.
It's a state highway.
And that's, I think, one of the frustrations is where I moved, there are specific reasons. And I feel like I have now moved to an area
You me,
that
Right.
is just,
yeah, demoralizing.
and it's one of those where you pay for, I didn't buy a house on Route 16 knowing with, certain expectations. I bought
Little country, little,
for, yes, when
Right.
my kids were young, they could ride their bikes and it's one way in, one way out. It's a
Yep.
beautiful neighborhood to go for a walk. It's 0.9 miles, so you almost get your mile by going around the loop once. And
I understand perfectly. I'm empathetic. And I think that,
no, I
I'm
appreciate that.
on your side. And
Appreciate that.
Colleen is I think, very competent in doing it, and
Thank you.
getting things done the right way.
Mhm.
So I think I understand what Tom is saying as well. But I think that we have some progress going. And hopefully it's going to really go.
Tom, anything else before we think about closing this out?
No, I'm good. Points I want to make.
Anything you folks would like to add before we close this topic out?
I just want to say that I'm sorry for getting emotional.
I apologize.
And I haven't even been able to say half of what's in my heart.
That's the most important thing here is the negative emotional impact this has profound effects on your
Right.
overall health. So what Cindy's saying is the most powerful
Right.
part of what we can tell you all.
And we're going to work with you.
Appreciate that.
We're on your side.
All right, so Colin, you've got some things to do. You've got a couple of ideas that maybe would be positive suggestions to accelerating this. We will request the property owner and the business owner next meeting.
If you feel that's a valid item to do.
What's the board feel?
Yeah, I think that we can do both things, you know. I may come and have tea, so. I'll
Yes,
see.
please.
All right, so
I'm a tea.
let's send out an
I've got
invitation.
tea.
All right,
Very
thank you so much.
In
Thank
2
you.
weeks,
Yes, ma'am.
in 2 weeks at 6 or 7?
It'll be 6.
6.
Yeah, this time of year, we get dark earlier.
Yeah.
I get to work early.
I don't like
I
to drive
can't
in
play
the dark,
golf.
so. Thank you.
thank you.
Thank you very
Thank
much.
you very much for your
Good night.
patience. BOH admin updates, please. We're going to the flu clinic.
So we held a flu clinic last Tuesday at the Misco School. We had a big whopping one person.
Oh, really?
Yeah, me and Tom were there, and Vice Chairman Fickner and Ann Labonte talked. And basically, what Colleen said last year too, was just like, we're just tired of getting vaccinated. She goes, "This
Huh.
people aren't interested in it."
Does anybody, do they register in advance?
Anybody interested?
Okay.
The individual that got the flu shot was an individual that works at the school.
Custodian.
He happened to be there.
He's like,
Like being at CBS, hey, why are you here picking up your script?
I did get mine at
So that-
CVS.
I remember you telling that.
And that's the other thing, that's why we're seeing a decrease. It's, you know, maybe part of it is vaccine fatigue, but the other is that, you know, a lot of people are the convenience of going to CVS and Walgreens.
Right.
but she goes, it's happening all over in the communities that she does the flu shot clinics.
Well, when you go and you have a script that you have to have filled, and it's to take you a half an hour,
Yeah,
and then they're gonna go to lunch,
right.
get a flu shot. I did too. I got 12.
I think my only disappointment is it's almost like a waste of resources.
Yeah.
Well, one of the things that
What do you
came,
do, not offer it?
one of the things that came out of it, in the visit, the discussion was location. That we wondered whether or not bringing it back, instead of being up at Misco, come back to the center of town. Maybe within the town hall or something
Senior
like that.
center.
Because that was kind of the thought is that maybe that's kind of a remote where you get a lot more traffic
Here.
this way and people might, oh yeah, flu clinic, oh, it's right here, I'm going by the town hall, whereas they got driving up that way is a little out of way. So the thought was that maybe next year we consider a venue change.
Because this isn't being used during the day.
We usually have, one in the, mornings at the senior center. And then we have an adult clinic. And depending upon, you know, we can handle even the adult clinic in the evenings at the senior center too. There's usually, you know, 25 to 30 people that sign up, and we can handle them there instead of opening up the school. Might be something the board might want to consider.
Okay,
Yeah.
so something to think about. Maybe anybody here talks to any of their associates and get some opinions, right?
Right.
See what people think.
Even like the downstairs in the library, that's a pretty big area there too.
Oh, yeah.
Good parking.
School
Maybe
football.
get the town to put the message board out in front of the library a week or two in advance if it's available.
Or if
Food
we,
clinic here.
yeah, we've been a library sign, they have a sign.
Yeah, that's what
Okay,
he's, I think.
Right at
he
the
did
property.
that right there, yeah.
So if that was okay to do, yeah, that's.
Just to get the word out.
Protect the people.
I hate to not offer it.
Right.
Exactly.
I agree. It's better off than not off.
I think we need to offer it.
I agree.
The year
Yeah,
you
I
don't
do
offer it
too.
is the year you're gonna have
Yeah,
25
everybody,
people.
yeah,
Yeah,
who could use it.
yeah.
yeah.
I agree, but,
Well, that was my update for the food thing.
all right, we're working on the 2025 bond book, please.
All right, the bond book has been received by the Board of Health Office and has been mailed out to Danielle Edmonds, who's our animal inspector, to conduct her bond inspections for 2025. I included a directory of all those who responded to the bond book livestock survey. There were about 61 people in that directory. So she has a list of 61 people with farm animals.
That's good.
See what comes back.
I know the update was specific to the bond book, but just on the topic of discussion of inspection in general, do we know if we have any kind of update regarding the proposal? The two gentlemen came to us.
Oh, yeah.
Try to do a,
Yeah, that time, right. I wondered about that, yeah.
I haven't heard anything. We can follow up. We can ask Kevin.
I was just curious. I mean, I know they were going around, they were gonna hit all the
Yeah.
towns and.
And having a community, a
I think
huge
that they
community, not
completed
just
that part of it. I can find out.
here.
So Jeremy said it's met with Montgomery.
Yeah, you're right. He did say that. He
What?
did meet with.
Jeremy did meet with Montgomery,
Oh.
Okay.
but I believe it's the select board that has to.
Oh,
And
get
that's
that
what we
going.
told them because animal control falls under
Right.
select board
Yeah.
versus animal inspection falls under BOH,
Correct.
Right.
which just brings up another point, and not to belabor with the topic, but you wonder, should those two things be combined?
Well, you'd think.
How does,
You would
Well,
think.
with this new proposal, if then it would be combined.
Mm.
So that would come to the point
Right.
where
It
we
would
would
be,
have discussion if there needs to be a department within the town that they need to report to, then that would be a reason to talk to the select board and say, we're combining them, we're already doing the animal inspector. Who's gonna be the town department representing this?
and I know this new proposal, I think, was geared toward doing kind of just that. To kind of centralize and join
Right.
resources to kind of bring that together. So
Yeah.
that, if that were to come to fruition, I could take care of the thought anyway.
Yeah, and I think animal control seems to work a lot with the police department,
Correct.
oh, yeah.
you know, so we'd have, have to figure it out where it fits the best and where it's most similar in the other towns, so that the whole group, just like the collaborative, the whole group is sort of doing the same thing to eliminate confusion.
Because I'm really disappointed that the BOH couldn't get involved in those loose calves that were running around.
The two calves,
There were two, I think,
on Millville.
but they've been corralled.
Both of them?
That's my understanding. I mean, well, unless
We
you,
saw one that,
okay, well, maybe I'm off, but
The other
one where they sit around together.
The other one might be on my grill.
Stop it.
All right. Very well. Moving on to Household Hazardous Waste Day reminder.
All right, so Household Hazardous Waste Day is gonna be this Saturday. Want to, there it is. So it's this Saturday. It's gonna be October 11th from 9 AM to 12 PM. And we're also gonna have your shredding day as well. So just a reminder, it's gonna be this Saturday. Highway Department.
Anyone help?
What?
Help? Yes.
They have company.
Yeah, we'll be there.
I wish I could be. I'm unfortunately have an obligation.
I may be available this
I could help you too.
Bring your banana bread.
year. One Marion.
See,
All right. Anything else on this topic? All right, moving along. Health agent updates, please. 106 Millville Street.
106 Millville Street is complicated, but we met with Jeremy beginning of the week.
Yes.
The property owners have served notice on the individuals that are residing there. They are supposed to be out by tomorrow.
Is that the barn?
Yes,
Yeah.
this was the old slaughterhouse that the board remembers.
So, we-
I remember.
Because I went by there, when I read all my things, I go to all the spots to where I'm doing things.
Joyce wants to know what she's talking about. She's-
Hey, that's
she's
good, you know.
pissed.
Should sharpen your pencil. But anyway, so it's gonna be something that, we'll work in cooperation with the animal control officer. The town administrator is aware of it, so is the, police department. from what
So
I-
it's not just the 18 horses. There are people actually living there that
Yeah.
have been told they need to leave.
The
But
vacation.
that, I thought that before, when we spoke about it, I said to you, there's somebody living there. You know, because there's a car there all the time, and
So we'll wait and see what happens tomorrow. Jack and I went by there yesterday, and they were horse trailers, and the doors were open. It looked like maybe
They're
they
moving
were,
on.
they were moving them out. I'm gonna go by in the morning to see, and then, probably reach out to their property owner's attorney, who's, Attorney Hun, and see if in fact they have vacated. If not, then the board's gonna have to get involved, because from what I'm told, there's squalor conditions there. So the board may have to, on its own, condemn the property. So we're working through that. 65 Hartford Ave West, I'm waiting for the, well results from the, water test. We did a test before and it failed, chloroform, passed E. coli. Yep, so Mr. Dallin went and sanitized the well again. We took a sample, just waiting for microbac.
Was it a high reading? Do you know what in comparison to what
I don't remember what the reading was.
I
I
don't,
was just curious if it was like way up or just a little over?
it was, I
I want
don't
to say
think,
a little above what it was
Right.
exceeded.
it
It wasn't
wasn't.
like high.
So that's why Mr. Dallin felt that sanitizing it again and taking another sample,
To do it?
Would do it.
fingers crossed. We had a situation, just in the last 24 hours with, Grandview. Apparently they had a big backup. And,
where is it? What?
Grandview,
Oh, Grandview.
yeah, the, ballroom there. They had a big backup. It was an emergency. Apparently they had a wedding on Saturday night and, come to find out one of the pumps wasn't working. They contacted, ADC Septic. Chris came in and saw Jack at the beginning of the week. Jack and I went up there today. Apparently all the pumps had to be replaced. There was a significant, what happened was that one of the pumps failed. So the grease trap emptied into the septic. So they had to jet and clean that all out. They cleaned the whole thing out. Chris said it was quite a job
Yeah.
today. Replace the pumps, have them on a, more regular pumping schedule. We did have pump slips from, Gibson, that he was pumping it, and he was pumping the grease trap. So, but he was doing it every 3 months, may not be enough. Chris gonna, go back on Tuesday and take a look at, the tank itself, the septic tank itself. Is gonna let us know. I'm gonna reach out to the property manager and, talk about getting them on a more regular pumping schedule. But it may be because, come to find out, one of those pumps was out for 3 years.
Oh,
How many pumps total do they have?
Or
Four.
Question. Is there some sort of an alarm system that would tell you that a pump?
yes, and they have that. They have that on the system, and when the alarm went off on Saturday night, they contacted ADC Septic.
Okay, but the pump malfunction itself, is there a fail-safe?
I'm not sure. I don't know.
Just curious.
Good
I
question.
mean, it's probably not something that you can easily tell whether or not it's working. Now, the tank would have an alarm in it.
Oh,
to
yes.
tell you that the tank reached a certain level, right, and it's in trouble, but I didn't know if there was a fail-safe to tell you that a pump wasn't working.
I'm not 100% positive, but I do believe that I have heard that there is, but it can easily be disconnected.
Because obviously this is, if they have 4 and one of them is for the grease trap, that's obviously a kind of important piece of equipment to
Okay.
always know that it's working.
I personally think that, that the grease trap needs to be pumped more frequently. They have had quite a few functions there. I mean, this was an emergency situation because they have a wedding tomorrow night, Friday night, Saturday night, and Sunday.
So they've got a huge flow in a short period of time.
Right.
So plan on having a conversation with the manager and getting them on a more, like from what Chris said to Jack and I today, that they have engaged their services, and Chris is going to take a look at, he wanted the pump slips, which Jack sent him today. He's gonna take a look at, how frequently they've been pumped, with the size of the tank, what's going on with the grease trap. He wants to get inside and take a look at that, and then he's gonna make a recommendation. So we're gonna be speaking with him regarding that and then enforcing that.
Okay.
And also too, Jack and I have been pretty busy with the conveyances that have not provided the board with a Title V report.
Are there a lot?
I have about maybe 12 that are still open and 4 that came back saying they're in progress of getting a new septic system.
But to get them, and there's one property in particular that just came in, so we're just working that out right now, but to get them on a pumping schedule,
Mhm.
much like Hensley Lane.
Yeah, because it's a cesspool.
Yep. So that's something else that, we've been, our intent, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. And just the food inspections, we have 2 restaurants that are up for inspection this month, October. So we'll take care of those. We have a lot of different events with Garrison Speed Shop. We have the fair that's coming up.
Yep.
We have Vanderbark, of course, and there's something I'm forgetting.
Yeah, the Lions Club this Saturday.
Yep, the Lions Club, and then we have Hazard's Drop-Off Day, Yeah.
Oktoberfest.
Oktoberfest. Yeah.
Oktoberfest.
Yep,
Oh, okay,
Yeah.
I've seen that on the side.
Yeah.
They doing that at Memorial Field again?
Yes.
Okay.
yep. So it's just a busy time of the year, as far as the fall festivals and things like that, plus all these other things that, have cropped up. Keeps Jack and I pretty busy. And of course, what we just discussed too, so. It's not on the agenda. The tobacco,
We can wait till next.
okay,
agenda.
wait till next agenda. That's all I have done.
Very good. Topics not anticipated within 48 hours, would that come under?
No,
Okay,
it's not.
does anyone have anything? Do we still have no one in the audience? All
Somebody in the audience.
right. Good and welfare for the board, please.
A couple of really notations, just for future meetings and with all that's going on, I don't know how could happen in the near future, but a couple of topics that I think we should revisit. Dumpster regulations, based on a conversation I was having with Jack yesterday. We may want to consider reviewing our current dumpster regulation structure with regard to responsibility. Possibly change it from what we have it structured to do now. I don't want to go too in depth, but maybe at some point we can put that on a future agenda item. The next thing was kind of based on a conversation again yesterday with Steve Donatelli. We may want to consider reviewing our fee structure, not necessarily, well, not monetarily per se, but with regard to creating or categorizing or adding a couple of categories that differentiate residential and commercial versus what we do now. That may be a better process to do than to what we've been doing. It was something that came up in conversation. Steve does this in other towns, and it may be something we would want to consider, and also getting Tom Ryder's feedback, because I guess he might do that in other towns. They don't do it here in Mendon.
Okay.
And it may flow things better. So just that. I know on next week's agenda, we have a topic related to tobacco.
Mhm.
That'll be coming forward at some point, not necessarily next meeting, but there was an element of tobacco rates that I think I'd like to talk to the board about, possibly some verbiage adjustment.
Okay.
But, you know, again, nothing critical, but in kind of prepping for these upcoming situations for the next meeting, I was looking at some verbiage and how we have it structured now against what the state does, and just to try to align maybe potentially better. The thought came to mind. So, and the last thing I had was to just mention that looking ahead at next month, we typically go the second and fourth Tuesdays.
Wednesdays?
I'm sorry, Wednesdays, sorry. I'm thinking ahead
I only
because
get 50%, so.
my suggestion might be to maybe switch to a Tuesday. Next month, there on the 12th of November is a special town meeting. And we're slated, that would be a night we'd have a Board of Health meeting. So I would suggest if we could switch that to another,
I wouldn't be able to do it Tuesday.
well, it doesn't have to be,
Well,
just some, if it's possible.
the 11th is Veterans Day, so
Oh,
house not open.
that won't happen.
Thursday? Is Thursday a better date?
Yeah, because I
That's
work
fine with
Tuesday
me.
nights.
All right.
Yeah.
So,
Well, you're working that Tuesday night.
Well, not to put, not to put you, make your only night of freedom.
I'll spend time with us.
I just
So
want to
the
point that out.
13th, or the 13th?
Yeah,
I
well,
mean,
the,
about Thursday, 13th.
yeah, with the 12th being special town meeting, I
Yeah, that's
imagine we'd want to participate possibly in
Absolutely.
that, right? And then on the next one, it's the night before Thanksgiving. It's Thanksgiving Eve.
Correct.
So I don't know if we'd want to even scrap that one altogether, or, because Thursday's the holiday. But
All right, why don't we,
Well, play that, but I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Play
why
it by
why
ear, so
don't
it
we
pops
wait
up in
on
there.
that one? Yeah.
it's coming.
Are we doing my cooking?
Obviously, the town meeting is important.
Yeah.
We
Yeah.
have something,
You do.
And what's the date of the town meeting?
The 12th,
12th.
Wednesday, the 12th.
so we'll switch it to the 13th.
Correct, Thursday, the 13th.
We need to make sure that our friends from the Crestview Drive neighborhood are aware of the change.
Okay.
And
That
where's
would
the
be-
meeting? Is it, oh, it's in here?
What?
The town, the
Oh, that would, the
town meeting?
special town meeting would be up at the
That's
school.
school,
Yeah.
yeah.
But where we're switching the meeting, and we just had this discussion, I want to make sure that they know
Yep.
directly.
Yep.
The new meeting date.
Okay.
So that's.
And
Wednesday,
obviously, you'll know what
12th.
that date is for the invitation of the business owner and property.
Correct.
But I don't want them to miss out. Okay.
Well, business on the property owner would be coming October 22nd.
Oh.
Yeah, they'd be coming
It
next
was
week.
still in October.
I jumped ahead with the look
Yeah,
at.
geez, why are you confusing me? I'm working on Columbus Day and you're working on Veterans Day. Ah,
I get you covered. I get you covered.
yeah,
All right.
okay.
So Wednesday, the 26th will play, but if there's nothing that's major for the board to
We
be,
can skip it,
we can skip it. Yeah.
which we have before.
Okay.
That's all I had.
good and welfare for the board.
That's what that was.
Oh,
Oh, my God.
But you could ask Joyce.
see, you got me all. All right, yeah, Joyce, do you have anything?
No,
Okay, the only things that I have is I recently learned that high schoolers are trying to vape marijuana. Oh, yeah. So that's out there. This is, yeah.
They're trying to do what with it?
vaping
Marijuana.
marijuana.
Vape it?
That vaping is.
So they're making it,
Doing everything.
they're making a liquid out of it. Wow, okay. The other thing was, the last report we got, the summary report we got from the state on, West Nile and Tripoli. When I was reviewing the cumulative results, looks like we had a pretty good season.
Yes.
A very good season.
No horses.
Yeah.
You know, I think only one human, West Nile, no Tripoli.
All right.
So, yep. Something worked in our favor.
Finally.
And, obviously, the people that are out there doing that testing, are doing a good job.
Well, you wonder if the dryness has something to do with
It
that?
was wet in the spring,
Yeah.
you know, so, but I mean, obviously, you have to have those people out there in the field testing.
Oh, yeah.
So, you know, because I mean, the amount of tests and things like that that they perform. So that was great. All right, that's all I got. Next meeting,
October 22nd.
October.
Did you say that was the 24th?
22nd,
Okay. I just thought when you were.
6 o'clock here.
6 o'clock, yes.
Motion,
I move we abandon ship.
I'll second the motion.
all in favor?
Tom, I.
Joyce, I.
Alan, I.
Thank you all.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
I was just looking at this. Is this for our review? This,